Well, good morning. So glad that you've taken the time this morning to join us for our devotional on this Monday, July the 6th. I've been reading some more in the book of Isaiah. I love that Old Testament book, Isaiah the prophet. It's one of my favorites, and I was rereading this morning one of my favorite verses that comes from that book. It comes from chapter 52, verse 7. Let me share it with you. How beautiful upon the mountains are the feet of him who brings good news, who publishes peace, who brings good news of happiness, who publishes salvation, who says to Zion, your God reigns. I love this passage. It's just the voice of the prophet and the beautiful imagery, and how beautiful are the feet of him who brings good news. And as I was thinking about that, I thought about this phrase, bringing good news. It comes from the Hebrew word basar. And if you look at the primitive root of that word, it means to bring forth freshness, to be fresh, to bring forth fullness. And I couldn't help but think about the fullness and the freshness of the news that the prophet was prophesying. Couldn't help but fast forward to the Christmas story as it's told in Luke and recall that scene, the shepherds on the hill that night watching their flock, and the angel of the Lord appears to them, and he says, fear not, for behold, I bring you good news of great joy that will be for all people. And as I thought about the good news story there, I thought about bringing good news, and with it the concept that really has two parts. The first is the action of bringing. Blessed are the feet of him who brings the good news, who makes the announcements, who carries forth that action of bringing forth the freshness and the fullness and the newness. And then I thought about the other part of that whole phrase. There's an effect. There's the bringing, the action, and then there's the effect. Isaiah says, how beautiful upon the mountains are him who brings good news of happiness. And the angel saying, fear not, for behold, I bring you good news of great joy for all people. And there's the effect of it. And if you go back and you look at the Hebrew word a little more deeply, you see the effect that's buried in that primitive root. It's the effect of making joyful, of making cheerful. It even carries with it the idea of the tint of rosiness. And I've thought about how our cheeks get rosy when we've got this effect of happiness that's in us. And I thought about the angel telling those shepherds, today heaven has come down. Heaven has come down in the form of God's Son, and bringing with that all that goes with it. Unmerited grace, forgiveness, redemption, salvation, that brings with it, in the person of Jesus Christ, abundant life, not only here, but eternally. And also that with this one, God's Son, the wonderful news that death will be defeated in him. And I thought about, when you think of the story, when you think of what Jesus did for us, and all that came with him, you can't help but be joyful and cheerful. And yeah, your cheeks get a little rosy. I think it's incredible. Gosh, it's a story we ought to tell every day over and over to ourselves. And as I think about the effect of the joy and the cheer, I think about what we're to do with that, and how beautiful it would be if we can bring that news to others around us through what we say, what we proclaim, not only with our words, but most importantly, with our actions. And how wonderful it would be that in this time, in our lives, in this world, that we can bring that good news, that we can proclaim it. Wow, how beautiful would that be? I love Isaiah's words. And I wonder if for today, you and I can think about that verse and perhaps commit it to memory. Isaiah 52:7. How beautiful upon the mountains are the feet of him who brings good news, who publishes peace, who brings good news of happiness, who publishes salvation, and who says to Zion, your God reigns. Thank you so much for sharing your time with me this morning. I hope that you have a wonderful day. May God truly bless you.